continues next week. I can't believe what we have witnessed.
Lakers, like, how about now?
Yeah,
Beautiful
wow.
shot.
Well, finally, with the crowd starting to scream.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into the Buffalo Stampede. I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. We, off the top, talk basketball with the Naaman Wright and CU basketball team. Buffalo sitting at 7-3. Tough one on Wednesday night as the Buffs come back from a loss at Xavier over the weekend, a top 10 team, to fall 69-59 to the University of San Diego. It's not often in a home game. There seems like there's a cap on the rim. You guys barely shot 25% in this ball game. Frustrating night for you guys.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was a frustrating night for us. I'm sure our coaches were frustrated. They let us know. We got to get in the gym and keep shooting. Our shots felt, you know, we've been hitting shots in practice, and we've never shot the ball like that, 23%, or maybe it was less. It's probably a record, but we just got to stay at it. 7-3. It's not where we want to be, but it's not the worst. There are teams that are worse than us in the Pac-12 now.
Sure.
In schedules or wins and losses, but you know, we got to win ball games when we're supposed to.
You know, in a contest like this, as the Buffaloes come out, you guys had some good looks early in this ball game, and I almost got the sense the longer it went on with the ball not falling, it began to affect you guys on the other end of the court a little bit. True?
Absolutely. When you're defense, you know, and offense, they go hand in hand. You get stops so you can score. So when you get stops and you're not scoring, it's kind of it's a frustrating feeling. And you know, we gotta learn from it and realize that we got to get to the rim. We got to drive the ball to the rim if we're not going to be hitting shots certain nights. So yeah, we got to learn from it.
I noticed after this ball game, again, the Buffaloes fall to San Diego here at the event center. You and some of the other team leaders, George King, got you guys all in the center of the court as you guys dropped 2 in a row here. It seemed like there's pretty animated conversation out there. What was kind of the message?
You know, we know that we have to have more pride than that individually. We know that that's not who we are. We know that we disappointed some fans and we disappointed some former players, and that's the opposite of what we want to do. You know, we got to come out here and play harder. You know, it's unacceptable for us to play like that at our home, you know, at home. And our seniors and juniors have to pick it up and lead our younger guys, and that's the hardest challenge.
So on Tuesday night, the Buffaloes fall to San Diego 69-59. Here was head coach Tad Boyle after the ball game.
You guys saw what went on out there tonight. It was a rough night for us offensively. Obviously, we couldn't make a shot, and that kind of just really got to us. And we got our heads hanging a little bit. And I thought we did a really good job of getting back in the game in the second half by getting to the foul line, which is what you have to do when your shots aren't falling. But we couldn't. You know, we got a couple stops there at the end, but we couldn't secure the rebound. We got into foul mode, and it was ball game. But San Diego came in here and beat us, and we got to live with that. It's a bitter pill to swallow. Really disappointed. You got to figure out a way to win games when the shot's not going in, and the way you do that is by getting the foul line. We did that tonight, but we just didn't do it enough. We didn't do it early enough. You know, I told our team, I said, I want to be in the bonus with 12 minutes to go in each half. Guess what? In the first half, we weren't in a bonus until 3 minutes to go. Disappointing. Boy, disappointing. And we have got guys that have to understand and learn and get better.
We continue here inside the Coors Event Center. Naaman Wright joining us following the Buffs loss 69-59 to San Diego on a Tuesday night. Here's one thing we know about playing basketball at this level, right? Nobody feels sorry for you fellas, right, around the league, and so it's time to get back to work.
Absolutely. It's time to get back to work, get to the drawing board. No college basketball game is going to be easy. I don't care who you're playing. You've seen Loyola beat, who is it, Florida?
Yeah.
You see a lot of, regardless of who the teams are, who the matchups are, no college basketball game is going to be easy. And I think we came in here thinking that we were supposed to win, and we did, you know, so we didn't treat them like that. We would treat a certain, you know, Oregon or Kentucky or whoever. Right. And we have to have our, you know, we have to be locked in on every single game.
How about you, after sitting out a year last year from your transfer year, being out here and being a mainstay on this team right now? Kind of talk a little bit about your transition to where your game is at right now.
I could be playing so much better. It's just, you know, it's different. It's different from me playing in a 5-minute rotation. Mm-hmm. You know, 5 minutes, you rotate, you come out, you come in. You know, you got to be on this team. You got to be, for our coaches, you got to be on your P's and Q's. You can't make mistakes. And so it's just a little tough. It's different from what I'm used to. Mm-hmm. But it'll get better. the more games that go along, it'll get better. My coaches will start to trust me more. I'll start trusting my coaches more, and everything will just be more cohesive and a team thing, you know. And so for me, it's just, you know, I'm still learning. I'm still figuring out how to put my footprints on the game when I can.
Well, you got 2 more games now left. You got South Dakota State coming in on Friday night. Then there's a neutral site game in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, a week from Friday against Iowa. Well, get back in the gym. Get those shots to fall.
Yes, sir, we'll do.
All right, that's Junior Naaman Wright joining us after the Buffaloes lost to San Diego 69-59 on Tuesday night at the Coors Event Center. We're going to talk women's basketball. Associate head coach Terriona Towns joins us next here in the Buffalo Stampede.
Start to press a little bit. Jank for a 3 up top. Yeah! Cuts the lead to 3.
And we continue on the Buffalo Stampede. I'm voice of the boss, Mark Johnson. Associate head coach Terriona Towns from the CU women's basketball team. Had a 1-1 week since our last show. Last Wednesday, a victory 70-67 up in Fort Collins at Moby Arena over Colorado State. That was a good one. You kind of came back and took care of business for the men after they lost there on Saturday.
Yeah, we did. It was, you know, anytime you get a chance to play CSU, it's always a big game. It was something that we talked to our team about. You throw out the records. There's a lot of in-state emotion that goes into the game, and so it was an exciting atmosphere. They wore orange. It was an orange out, which always signifies a big game for them. And it meant a lot to beat CSU. It meant a lot to win on the road again. And it just showed how resilient our ball club was.
You know, I'm watching the scoreboard on that one because we got the men's game going on at the same time. It was a bizarre game. Buffs dominated the first and third quarters. The Rams dominated the second and the fourth quarters. So much for consistency of that one.
That's right. I mean, you know, it definitely was. It was very bizarre. And you're right. I mean, we did a good job of outscoring them in 2 quarters, and we certainly would have loved to have been consistent for 4 quarters, but we're young. We're still learning how to battle through some adversity, had to make some adjustments on the fly, and so it was. You know, we were happy that we were able to score a few more points than they did and come out with the win.
That was the 6th consecutive victory, in fact, for the Buffaloes. They improved to 7-1 this season. Get the victory over their rival in-state here in the state of Colorado, or Colorado State, 70-67. Now they came back and had a disappointing loss on Monday night to Dartmouth. In fact, here's head coach J.R. Payne and some of the players post-game after the loss to the Green Wave.
Well, 2 really good teams tonight. With both came in the game with really great records, good wins, good road wins, good home wins. And we knew that this was going to be a really difficult game. Our 2 staples, the foundation of our success, comes from defense and rebounding, and I don't think that we did those as well as we needed to do tonight to be successful. So I think that therein lies the outcome of the game. But there's going to be positives that we can take from the film, but there's also a lot of areas that we can improve. Our shoot-around wasn't very good. Our warm-up wasn't very good. It was kind of a flat feeling all day long. I don't know if that's fatigue or getting ready for finals or you know what it was, but Dartmouth came in ready to play. They're a great team. They executed they did everything that we thought they would do. Things that we had worked on. We talked really about communicating defensively. I think we'll turn on the film and see that we could have done a better job there. But they exerted their will. They did whatever they wanted to do, and we did not put up enough resistance to stop them.
Post-game comments after the Buffaloes' 81-75 loss to Dartmouth on Monday night as we continue with associate head coach from the CU women's basketball team, Terriona Towns. A little disappointing game there on Monday night.
You know, it was disappointing. We certainly didn't play as well as we have been over the start of the season, and you know, we had some kids who missed some shots that we normally make, and we didn't defend the way that we were capable of defending down the stretch, and we played a really good Dartmouth team, and credit to Dartmouth, they did what they needed to do to win. They were resilient, and we just came up a little bit short. So.
You know, I know the Buffaloes went into that game, by the way, the #1 rebounding team in the Pac-12, ended up even against Dartmouth, and I know hearing JR's comments afterward, that disappointed her.
Yes, definitely. It's something that we focus on in practice every day. It's something we challenge our kids to do consistently, and I think as the game got away from us a little bit offensively, you know, as I said, kids were missing some shots that they are accustomed to making. Our rebounding focus went as well, and so So it was one of those things that that we certainly will look to shore up this week in practice, and get back to our winning ways.
You know, so many times when we talk women's basketball here at CU, we talk about Kennedy Leonard for good reason, but there is a star in the making, I think, in Annika Jank. She was the Pac-12 Freshman of the Week.
Yeah.
Last week, Monday night, she had 26 points.
Yeah, you know, Annika's been she's been a real delight this year. I mean, she's a kid. She just gets in the gym. She works really hard. She's very lighthearted. She's easy to coach. You know, she just enjoys being a college basketball player. She really is the consummate student athlete. She does a great job in the classroom. And yeah, she's been a real bright spot for our ball club, and it's nice to have you know, a bright spot in such a young kid.
Give us a quick comment before we wrap up here. On Friday nights, you're at Air Force, staying on the Front Range. Tough challenge.
Very tough challenge. You know, we were talking to some of our kids about Air Force. You know, we played them a couple years ago. They're always really tough. They're well coached. You know, they're military academy kids. They're sharp. So it'll be a great challenge for our ball club, and one that we're really excited about.
All right. Good luck on Friday.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Associate Head Coach Terriano Towns of the Buffaloes at Air Force on Friday night. Stay tuned here on the Buffalo Stampede. Coming up next, we're talking volleyball. Great season for the Buffs. Anna Pfefferly joins us next.
The overpass from Sidney Townsend, who just checks in with his seniors. And how about, again, Frankie Chevy? She had double-digit against Baylor.
Chevy ranks 8th in the
Well, some highlights from the Colorado Buffaloes' Sweet 16 loss to Nebraska. Oh, we always hate when the Buffs fall to Nebraska. That was in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Anna Pfefferly, senior for the Buffaloes, joining us. I know the end wasn't fun, but what a great season if we could start there for the Buffaloes this year, huh?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, to have my senior season end with a great finish in the Pac-12, making it to the Sweet 16 for the first time in 20 years, I think, and playing a really solid Nebraska team obviously wasn't the result we wanted, but it was really much more than I could have ever asked for.
Yeah, it turns out to be a great senior season for Anna and the Buffaloes. You know, we talk in sports all the time about chemistry, and when a team has a good chemistry, they seem to have a good season. Could you tell early on this was not only a talented team, but maybe a close team?
Yeah, definitely. I think that the chemistry between the players on the team this year was definitely what brought us to the Sweet 16. I think that we all had that common goal of finishing well in the Pac-12 and making it back to the NCAA tournament, but I think it was our ability to stay together throughout a long season and a lot of games and follow what our coaches are telling us to do and just really keep that end goal in mind the whole time and keep each other on track to it. And I think that the chemistry made it also just a lot more fun.
You know, and you mentioned doing what the coaches tell you to do, which is what you're supposed to do, of course, as an athlete. However, it was year number 2 for Jesse Mahoney. So you guys had a little bit of history, understanding exactly what the culture he was trying to build, correct?
Yeah, I think that this year we all just really bought into that culture and decided that if we wanted to be a great team, that was something we had to do. And when everyone's on the same page with that, on the same page as your coaches, it does make a difference, and it just changes the way that you play in the gym. It changes the way that you play on the court during the games, and I definitely think that our new coaches have done a great job of implementing that culture, a championship culture, which is
the
great.
Buffaloes finish up the season 24-10, ultimately with a loss to Nebraska. Opening round weekend in Waco. You guys beat James Madison. You beat Baylor. You're on fire that weekend. Go then to Lexington, take on Nebraska. Didn't go your way. Talk a little bit about that match and how it unfolded.
Yeah, unfortunately we had one of our starters not able to play due to injury, which was not what we wanted, and you know, it's difficult having people fill in for those positions at the end of the season, but I think that Nebraska is a really solid team, as they always have been. They served and passed really well, and that's just a huge part of the game. And so I think when we played Baylor, we were really strong in that area and maybe weren't as strong in that area when we played Nebraska, and that could have contributed to that. But, I mean, all around, Nebraska's a great team. I think that we definitely showed some resilience in that third set after falling in the second set, but it just wasn't quite enough.
All right, now you get to wear the hat of analyst here now. Okay, now that you're a former Buff, look at this program moving forward? What do you see? Do you like the way it's kind of shaping up?
Yeah, and that all goes back to the culture too. I think that our coaches have done a great job of recruiting girls that want to be a part of that culture and want to grow the program, and we have some great young players that got a lot of minutes or just got a lot better throughout the season, and I'm really excited to see what they do.
So what's next for Anna Pfefferman?
That's a great question too. I think getting a job and just figuring out the next steps.
See, you know what it is? You get to be like the rest of us now. You get to talk about how great you used to be.
Yeah, exactly, for the rest of my life.
Well, congratulations, and we wish you the best moving forward in life.
Thank you so much.
All right, senior Anna Pfefferman, as the Buffaloes are coming off a 24-10 Sweet 16 season in volleyball. Coming up next here in the Stampede, you wouldn't believe the support these student athletes have. We're going to talk to a nutritionist and a dietitian coming up next here in the Stampede.
So today we're doing the first episode of the Time and Stage show, and you know, we like to have a lot of fun at work, and sometimes we work really long hours, but it's really important that we have fun, and so we thought that this cooking show would be fun if we were in character, so hence the Time and Stage.
Once again, back at the Buffalo Stampede, I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. You know, being a student athlete here at the University of Colorado is not just going to class and competing. There's a lot more to it. And behind the scenes, there's a lot of folks that are taking care of these student athletes, like Laura Anderson, dietitian here at the University of Colorado. And you're in charge of helping student athletes get the right nutrition, eating the right things, don't eat so much fast food, all those kind of things. I mean, there's a lot more to it than just, hey, go grab lunch at lunchtime.
Yeah, a lot more to it. Obviously, the fueling program is a huge component of the performance nutrition department. It's our opportunity to really be the extension arm of the practical information that we're giving the student athletes in the office. The food service opportunity allows them to put into practice what we're instructing them to do. So a big thing that I say all the time here is when you eat is just as important as what you eat. And so we have strategically planned our fueling stations at time frames that surround the athletes' training times so that they're able to always go into a practice or a training session in a well-fueled state or practice really good post-training recovery. So, and obviously at certain times of the year, depending on the intensity and volume of that training session, that we want them to build and put certain things on their plate to help aid in that recovery process and really protect that immune system.
So essentially, I mean, we talk about Mike McIntyre being the football coach. You're the food coach for the Buffaloes.
Yes, definitely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you're 100%. Kind of taking our hand and showing them what to eat, what not to eat, how much to eat, those kind of things.
Yep, absolutely. And it's always an education process. And sometimes the athletes are able to immediately apply the information that we give them. And sometimes you have to repeat those instructions 200, 300, 400 times.
Like Mike McIntyre does all the time with players.
Yes, exactly like that. And you just hope at some point that it's going to really connect.
All right. Well, you know, the Buffaloes have not only Laura from a dietitian standpoint, they've got an entire wellness team that makes sure that the student athlete is globally taken care of here at the University of Colorado.
We have regular meetings with our medical practitioners, physicians, our sports psychologists, dietitians, and clinical athletic trainers to discuss student athletes that we may be concerned about for many reasons. Here at the University of Colorado, our program I think is pretty unique in that we get a number of our physicians together, 3, sometimes 4 of our non-operative physicians together with our dietitians, with our sports psychologists, and with the athletic trainers on a regular basis to discuss the student athletes' progress, what goes on in these meetings. It's really a progressive, cutting-edge program that ultimately gets a student athlete to where we want them to be. In that meeting, we have 2 of our dietitians. We also have our sports psychologist who does a lot of general psychology practice in addition to the sports psychology stuff. And then we have 3 team physicians. All of them are in charge of different care groups, so it may be they're in charge of different sports, but they have different backgrounds and different specialties that they can lend to any conversation that occurs. So this program works really well for us. There's a lot of variables within every athletic department, but what we are fortunate to have is clinicians that are dedicated to the health and well-being of the student athlete and that can set aside time in their schedule to get together on a regular basis to benefit the student athletes.
Lots of fascinating stuff. I mean, Laura, it really is that wellness team. It looks at every aspect of the student athlete, doesn't it?
Yeah, I love being part of the student athlete wellness team. I really believe it is a concentrated, I guess, aspect of the medical department that takes a really close look at student athletes. You know, there's pretty much a time in every single student athlete's career over their 4 years, 5 years here that they're going to struggle. And that struggle could be either something with fueling, it could be something stress related, it could be something mentally. And this team really surrounds and provides that interdisciplinary care to that athlete during that time frame. So specifically, you know, my part within that team has been a lot of protocol development and fine-tuning the process if we identify an athlete that has relative energy deficiency or amenorrhea or low bone mineral density or iron deficiency, or simply putting in a very objective system in which we can really identify those individuals that need to be placed on either a provisional type of plan, again, to make sure that they're not kind of sliding under the radar, or they need to be on a very specific type of plan that potentially could limit them from a training session or two if it's that extreme of a case.
Well, that's awesome stuff. I need one of those teams kind of following me around all the time, taking care of me like that. Hey, tell me a little bit about physiological testing. You do that with the student athletes as well.
So physiological testing is kind of the other hat that we wear here. So the fueling program and designing the menu and what the athletes are going to have available for them to eat is one part, and then the physiological testing is the other part. So physiological testing includes a really in-depth analysis of body composition. So obviously during the year we're going to be looking for the athletes to be gaining lean mass, lean muscle tissue, upper body, lower body, throughout the core, specifically in the off season. So you need a very specific process in order to monitor that, as well as how much adipose tissue that they're carrying. So each sport and then positions within sport have a very specific high performance range that we expect them to be in, and then we monitor them 3-4 times throughout the year.
That is awesome. I feel healthier just sitting here talking to Laura, don't you? Great stuff. Keep up the good work.
Yep.
All right, fantastic. Buffalo's taking care globally of Colorado Buffalo's athletes as we put a wrap on the Buffalo Stampede this week. Don't forget, Friday night, Buff Men at home at the Coors Event Center, 6 o'clock against South Dakota State. We'll talk to you next time here on the Stampede.